and mounts and all that kind of good stuff. So you have to take the pressure off these to get it off. So what you have to do, crank it up. Right now, you can see these are pretty tight under there. So you're gonna actually lift up the truck a little bit. And you check them. I'll get it up to a point where it's got a little bit of the pressure on. We got a little bit of pressure starting to come off. Okay, I'll show you on this side. Before, you couldn't touch it. See how it's loose now? So we lifted up and took the pressure off, but it's still hooked up. So now, you can take the pins out, pull this, both sides, same thing for both sides. Now you can let it down and unhook it like you would normally. You know, when you get it down, unhook it, raise it up, and you can pull away.
Okay.
Depending on what you're going to do, a little lighter, if you take these off, you can pull this pin.
Pull these out.
Pull it. Those are heavy, so grab it in the middle. Feel like it's got a little...
No wonder there's...
All this weight on this.
You can exercise while you're camping too.
God,
So, and once you have it off, you know, you're disconnected, right? If you want, you can pull that pin and pull this out and store it if you're not going to use it for a while. You know, it's up to you.
Right.
But now that this is all set up, you don't have to change any of this. It's set up for this trailer,
Okay.
so you don't have to mess with it.
Or the just
Any of the adjustments.
adjustments, nothing.
That's all you have to do is what we're doing with the bar.
So do I need to check so it doesn't come loose or whatever? Just check, make sure they're tight every time. You know.
I'm
talking about-
for safety reasons. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I'm
fine.
talking about the nuts. You know, like on here.
Yeah. Feel free to check them, make sure they're tight. Absolutely.
Okay, now let's say he uses this thing for his truck. Does he have to adjust this anywhere, or because it's adjusted to my truck, right?
It's made to fit this truck.
Right. So he'd have to
So
either get his own.
this is a better, safer way to do it. What kind of truck do you have?
Same as this, just older.
If it sets
It's a
the
little bit
same.
smaller. Oh, if it sits
If
the
it
same.
sets the same, you know, you're going to find out, you know, if he's got a receiver, you can take this out, put it in his truck, but you'll have to check the adjustment. You may or may not have to adjust it, depends on how his truck sits.
So really, if he really wanted to have it adjusted, he'd have to come and buy one of those.
You wouldn't need the whole kit, you would just need this side. Because it takes a minute to adjust that. You know, and that's something you really don't want to mess with every time. It's set, it's set. Leave it.
Yeah.
I mean, these things get torqued down. There's torque settings on these bolts so that, you know, we know that the manufacturer gives requirements of torque for each bolt on there. So you'd have to go through that process on every time you try to change it. You know?
Yeah.
That's going to add an hour on each side. An hour to hook it up and go, an hour to set up for another truck, and you know what I mean? I mean, after you've done it a few times, you probably get a lot quicker at it, but it's going to take a minute.
I mean, he could use it without that,
technically,
but his truck would be like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to see how his truck handles
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
But you wouldn't have to buy.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have to buy the bars. You could just. No, you just need this end.
Now, another thing I was going to ask you, what if I have a load up here? I don't have to adjust it or anything? No?
Well, the way it sets, it should take a little
Weight,
Yeah.
you know.
Because what's going to happen, it's going to change a little bit because you're going to load this and you're going to load this.
Right, yeah.
And then if it's not, if you get it where you're using it normally, you got kind of the same load every time and you notice it's not level, then maybe it could be readjusted to make it a little more level. Because you don't want the trailer and the truck to be too far down this way or too far down this way, you know.
Now, how do I know? Just put a level on there? Or?
Yeah, you can put a level on there. And then there's a book. In this book, there's measurements that you take. And see, you got this measurement.
20 and a
20 and a
half.
half, that's what it is. That's where, see, the guy that set this up. wrote that up.
Already wrote it in there.
That's where it was for your, for this trailer level. That's 20 and a half. When this is level, measure the frame down on the front and back, make sure the trailer was level by the frame, and then took that measurement, and that's 20 and a half. So that doesn't change. That's level. So what changes it was when you put the weight here, the weight here, it may go down, but there's the other levels that you want to check is for the, you don't want the front end of the truck to come up too high. So you'll lose control of your steering, you know, your braking won't be as good. So, and right here is the before and after measurement. So there's a little weight distribution adjustment here. So you can, once you get it fully loaded, you can remeasure it again. You measure the front and rear empty, put your load on it, and then remeasure the front and rear again, and then it should usually be between the A and B measurement. Whatever your two measurements are, you should be somewhere in there. You don't want it way outside, because that means either the trailer's way out of level or the truck front end maybe is too high. You know, you want it, the way it's set up is now is the way you want it to be. And it's set up, it'll take a load. That's what this does too. I mean, it allows for a little bit around. So you don't want this where the tongue is up too high.
Right.
And you don't want the opposite of that.
Right. Down. Okay.
You want it to be. So like I said, it depends on how you camp. You know, you see, you don't want it like that. You want it kind of true. And that's the safest way you'll be able to drive, because that way your brakes will work, the weight will be on the front. You know, if you get too much weight on the back and it raises up the front of your truck, it's going to take some of the weight off it. The front brakes won't grab as good, steering won't be as tight. So that's what the purpose of having this level is. Possible. Probably never ever be perfect,
Right.
but
But this is pretty close
yeah.
enough.
So when you got this thing down, I know what you want for Christmas. Electric
No.
jack.
What?
So once you get it, you gotta lower it back down. Get it disconnected. It's connected as usual. You pull away. So when you get it, back it up,
Drop it.
drop it, hook it up. See, now when it's down like that, you can't. See the bars?
Oh, okay.
Oh,
You can't get them up. That's why you have to raise the truck up. When you raise the truck up, it'll raise these bars up. Make sure that's latched there. That way you'll know you're connected too, because you're going to be lifting it all up. I usually put it kind of close like that way I can see it come up. And what the bar's for, if you don't want to crank it up this high, see how, if you can't get it by hand, see, if you want to put a little muscle into it, once you get it on, you get it on. But this is what this bar is for. Gives you all the leverage. So put the hook in the square, put the bar in the little saddle here.
oh,
Oh,
wow.
in case I
that's
don't want to
pretty-
raise it all.
Yeah,
the way.
this will give you some leverage. It'll be a lot easier to do it with this than by hand. Or you can just crank it up higher
And just push it
and
on.
push it in. Some trucks, you know, bigger trucks, can't lift it high enough for it. You always have to use this.
Oh, okay.
It's set up pretty easy with this Toyota. So once you get it back on, you're gonna do both sides. We had somebody come in recently for service work, and they came back with that stuff like that. And they wonder why is this all noisy? It's making all this noise. It ain't, something's not right. The pin has to hook
The other way.
and it holds that bar down. It locks it in so it can't come up, can't come out.
Oh, no. Clips down.
So
Okay.
make sure it hooks over the
So he
top.
had it backwards and
He had it backwards.
Ooh, they're lucky they didn't lose it.
You don't know what can happen.
Yeah.
It's usually not going to be good.
Okay.
So get that side on. Do the same thing on the other side. Just bring it over. And if it doesn't go all the way over, you can just give it a little kick, you know, push it over. Like once again, make sure that pin hooks over top. Throw that in your storage compartment. Let it land on the street. And you're hooked up there, so just bring it up. That's why people get the electric jack.
How much are they?
You know, like two something.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's something you could put on yourself, or you could put it on. But they have them there in ports. Because all you're just disconnecting here. And it's
Put 'em on.
bolting on, but you have to wire it to the battery. There'll be a push button. Even you can do it. And it has a light.
Maybe I can do it.
Not that you couldn't do it the other way.
Yeah. No,
I mean-
I couldn't do it the other way. I'd be tired.
Now you just crank that up all the way till
Crank
it
it up
stops.
so, because that thing, when you're going in and out of
stops.
a curb, in and out of a Safeway or running shop, before you go load it up, you don't want that thing rubbing. That's what helps to get some blocks.
So you
To
don't
raise
have
it
to-
up, so you don't have to crank this thing all the way down, and then you're gonna crank it all the way up. Get yourself some blocks. And then you got your breakaway switch. You familiar with what that is?
Yeah. Once that trailer goes, it
Yeah,
the
so
brakes on.
that will just pull out, and it locks the brakes. So you don't want to leave this out when you got it in storage or anything, like a safety feature. Some people want to do that. But what it does is it makes it short in the electrical. It does that purposely to lock the brakes. But what it also does is it drains your
Drains the
battery. Then once the battery's dead, then the brakes will open up again and then it's going to roll or whatever you didn't want it to do. You won't gain anything by that. So it just clips back in there. And the breakaway, I would recommend that you get one of the adjustable links. You get a link. It's got the little screw where you can add a link. Put one of those on here
And put it on there.
and put this on it in case
The chain
the
breaks.
chain broke,
And it's not working.
just in
Okay.
case. It'd be a little safer if it was on its own.
Right. Okay.
What some people do is go like this. Pull this. Put that on. You got it going in. Loop it. Why is it all looped in the chain? Who did that? You can put it through here and loop it.
Oh.
And then it's separate. Now, there is a little, well, I switched to mine because I accidentally pulled mine once and I didn't know it. In my fifth wheel, I had some, fifth wheel hooks in the back. I had some wood in there for firewood. And when I turned, the wood fell over and it pulled this and I didn't know it. locked up my tires. And it's just when I got home, I was trying to back in, and the tires were all locked up. 10 o'clock at night.
What the heck's
It,
going
what
on?
the? I didn't say those kind of words.
Yeah, right, I'm sure.
They make one of these. They're probably only like 10 bucks, 15 bucks. It's a springy. So when you have it plugged in, it's not loose. It coils up.
Oh, yeah,
So
like
it'll
your,
hold it tight.
like the badge thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But you still can loop this through a few things, you know. So it doesn't rub. But you want this
Right,
separate.
Okay.
Because that's your last line of
Stop-
safety there
stop
to
the
help
trailer.
stop this thing from going. It's it's crashing, it's burning wherever it's going, but at least the thing's not going to keep rolling and hit somebody else. It'll lock up those brakes. But yeah, because this could break. Your safety chains could break, and you don't want it hooked too loose.
Okay.